Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today we're taking a look at the newest fragrance release in the ever expanding enormous line of Le Male fragrances. This one right here, Le Male Lover, which according to Jean-Paul Gaultier is nude. That's right, this bottle is wearing no clothes because it has no stripes, which in the land of Jean-Paul Gaultier means naked. And if that's the case, he has tattoos all the way down onto his little Johnson down there, and that can't be comfortable. That had to hurt. So yes, the newest in the line is this one, Le Male Lover, and we're going to compare this against some of the contemporary fragrances in the line, kind of see where it falls in the grand hierarchy of Le Male. And actually, this fragrance is a little bit more interesting than it might seem at first blush. So there's going to be a lot to talk about here. This one is available as of right now in Europe, and it has slowly started to trickle already to discounters in the US, but it's probably going to be one of those fragrances that is in stock, then sold out, in stock, sold out, in stock, sold out, that whole song and dance for a little while. I don't know how long exactly, but typically with fragrances like this, that seems to be how it goes. Now, I will have this one linked in the description to a discounter where you can pick this up, but heads up, it's probably sold out unless you're watching this far into the future. Before we take a look at the presentation, here are some codes that you can use if you shop online at any of these websites. The newest code is for the perfumebox.com, which is a discounter. That code is Gents for 10% off. And there's GS11 for 11% off at Fragflex. And of course, the typical codes at Twisted Lily, Max Aroma, and Triple Traders as well. Let's go ahead and start things off by taking a look at the presentation here. Here we have the can in typical Le Male fashion. You have the name of the house, name of the fragrance right there on the front, and then you have this totally rad tattoo. It's a knife or dagger going through a heart. You got some flames in the background. You have roses. What are these, like sparrows on the side? Little stars as well. It's like they took a lot of the aspects that were popular in tattoos maybe 20 years ago and then threw them onto the presentation here. Specifically those stars and the birds. They may not be swallows. I don't, are they? Maybe? I just remember a lot of guys and girls, again, about 20 years ago, having these tattoos everywhere. Put them on your hips so they look totally sweet. At least that's how it was. Seemed like everybody had those things. Then on the bottom, you have your badge code, you have your barcode. The badge code is etched into the bottom here. It's difficult to read, but it is 40051. And here we have the bottle. Now, I know I was just poking fun at the tattoo, but I actually think it does look cool on the bottle here. It's very different, the look of this one compared to the other Le Males. And of course, that's because naked, right? So you have the name of the fragrance on the front there, name of the house. You have the tattoo design on the bottle as well. You got your badge code on the bottom. It has kind of an interesting coloration, a little bit gray, a little bit blue, but I like it. Let's go ahead and share a couple sprays here. Check it out. Atomizers on these always work well. It reminds me vaguely of the old fire hose style atomizers from Creed. You know, a similar look to it and a really good dispersal here. And I hate these. The Le Male Elixir one, so much nicer. This is just, it's made for babies. Look how small this is. So you gotta like really just put that on there. Kind of a pain. There's the presentation. I actually like it. I know I was making fun of the tattoo and everything, but it looks kind of cool in its own way. Now, before we start talking about the scent, I want to plug really quickly my extra channel, Extra Gents Scents. Look that up on YouTube if you want more fragrance content. I do reviews of things there that I don't cover here, and I have different lists over there and other things as well. Okay, Le Male Lover. Let's talk about how this thing smells. I guess first off, let's set the mood. Let's set the mood for Le Male Lover. Jean-Paul Gaultier has had a run of fantastic fragrances in the Le Male and also Le Beau lines. Le Male Le Parfum, Le Male Elixir, Le Beau Le Parfum, the new Paradise Garden. Oh, dude, Paradise Garden is fantastic. I know we're really early in the year as of when I'm filming this, but right now, easily my favorite new release. It just smells amazing. The opening there is immediately attention grabbing. It's almost like enrapturing. When you smell it, it just immediately makes you go, what is that? And where can I get it? Really, really top-notch stuff. So this is just to say they've had a string of fragrances that by and large have been very, very well accepted. What does that mean? It means there's not too much room to go up, but there's a whole lot of room to go down. Now, if you think that's me setting up to just say that this is the worst thing I've ever smelled, that's not what's going on. But I just want to throw that out there, make you aware that, that's kind of where Jean Paul Gaultier is right now with this line. So one of the things that you're going to want to know about this is it just a rebottling of this? This is Popeye Eau Fraiche. There's also Superman Eau Fraiche, Eau Fraiche, Eau Fraiche, Eau Fraiche. Just, is this that? Is Le Male Lover just a retread of what has come out before and was well accepted, but ultimately faded away? I think the last Eau Fraiche was released in 2019, so it's been going on 5 years, unless I completely screwed up that timeline in my head. Regardless, it's been a minute since there's been a new Eau Fraiche. So, is Le Male Lover just Eau Fraiche put into a new bottle? The answer to that, and I can say this with 100% certainty, no. Le Male Lover is not Le Male Eau Fraiche put into a new bottle. Now, when you first spray these two fragrances on, there are some similarities, and I'll touch on that, but there are also some big differences. And trust me, believe me, if you spray this side by side with this, you will not be confused as to which one is which. You're not gonna be like, what? It's the same. I can't, they just rebottled. No, you'll be like, oh, that's that? That's that. Now, when you first spray on Le Male Lover, you do get kind of an aldehydic freshness. So that could remind you of Le Male Eau Fraiche in the first couple minutes there, because this one also opens aldehydic, very fresh. They both have a nice little sweetness off the top, but very, very quickly, they start to diverge and go their own separate ways. So Eau Fraiche has mint and also neroli up top. You don't pick those up in Le Male Lover. Le Male Lover does have a very simplistic note breakdown compared to Eau Fraiche. Le Male Lover has only 3 notes. Those are pepper, specifically white pepper, vanilla, and then also ambergris. That's your note breakdown. Super simple. And definitely, there is mint here, a good amount, and there's no mint here. So in Eau Fraiche, you're going to get much more of a brisk, refreshing, almost bracing kind of opening with that green really hitting right off the bat. Again, mint and neroli. The neroli with a clean white floral aspect, a little bit citrusy, very smooth, but adding to that green aspect in the opening alongside the mint. And again, you do not pick those up in Le Male Lover. I just sprayed these on the tester strips not that long ago, and there's no mistaking which one is which. So again, initial blast, I'm talking the first minute or two. This does open up aldehydic and fresh, just like this one. In that first couple minutes, you could smell them and be like, decently similar. And that may be where, if you smell this and you haven't smelled this for a while, you're gonna think, oh, that does remind me of Eau Fraiche. But again, a couple minutes in, they start to do this, and then there's no mistaking it, especially if you have them both to compare side by side. As these two fragrances head through the mid, Eau Fraiche stays green. It has sage that comes out, so it has more of an aromatic feel as compared to Le Male Lover. The sweetness over in Eau Fraiche is a little higher tinged as compared to the sweetness in Le Male Lover. Le Male Lover is a little bit deeper. And even in the dry down, these two do woodiness in a different sort of way. So you have tonka over here, you have sandalwood over here, you have ambergris in Le Male Lover. So again, really between the two, the only thing you're gonna notice being similar is the opening, and that's just the initial opening. So we're gonna stop talking about Eau Fraiche now, but again, if you wear these side by side, very obvious they're different. So let's just break down Le Male Lover by itself really quickly. As I said, opens up very fresh. It has a nice touch of sweetness to it, not overwhelmingly sweet. And that aldehydic opening in here is more so just the way the aldehydes come across in Eau Fraiche. That's why I'm using that descriptor, because that initial blast decently similar there. You get a little bit of that white pepper that comes out in here, some fresh spiciness essentially. The sweetness, not overwhelming at all in Le Male Lover, though it is there from the opening into the dry down. Through the mid, you pick up what feels like maybe some light floral touches along the edges. The ambroxan that's in here as you hit the dry down is more of just a fresh woodiness, or excuse me, the ambergris that's in here. But none of those are the star of the show. The real star of the show of this one is the vanilla. Yeah, this is a vanilla forward fragrance done in more of a fresh way. So the vanilla in here, noticeable really early. It's sweet, but again, not overwhelmingly sweet. And it's not the type of vanilla that's being used heavily right now. So that more almost syrupy, decadent, gourmandy kind of vanilla that's really popular right now, that's not what's going on here. This one actually gets a little more powdery as it dries down. So the longer it stays on your skin, the more of that powder kind of pops out with the vanilla. It doesn't go soapy or anything like that, just a pleasant powdery vanilla with that woody ambroxan underneath. The freshness off the top, you know, that fades away pretty quickly. And then you have that fresh spiciness, a touch of florals coming through with that vanilla as it dries. That's basically what you've got going on here. And I'll tell you guys, the first time that I smelled this one, I was so disappointed, because again, what I said before, Elixir, Le Male Parfum, Le Beau Le Parfum, Paradise Garden, just all these hits, one after another, after another, after another. It gets to the point where every Le Male fragrance, you think, this is gonna blow me away as soon as I spray it on, right? You're gonna pull it out of the can, not the box. You're gonna pull it out of the can, you're gonna spray that on, and you're just gonna go, ah, perfection. And that's not what happened. It was more so that spray, and then I went, that's it? Oh, God. That's essentially how it went. Same thing with my wife. Had her smell it, and she was just like, it's okay, I guess. That is probably going to be a lot of people's first reaction who go into this wanting something to just blow them away, as I said, like the last releases have. This will probably not do that to you. The main thing you get when you first spray it on is just that, honestly, almost nondescript freshness. Again, a little similar to Eau Fraiche off the rip just for the first minute or two, but it's not as memorable as the original Eau Fraiche when you first spray it on. Some similarities, but just doesn't quite grab your attention the same way. It's like a weird cat claw. Grab the attention. Yeah, it doesn't really do that. And the first couple times I wore this, I had that disappointment pretty much seeping through my pores. Every time I smelled this, it was like, well, okay. It's not that it smells bad. It's not something that's like blended horrifically or smells off-putting or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking a vanilla forward fragrance. People love vanilla, right? So it's kind of hard to screw that up in a way that people are gonna despise it. So it doesn't smell awful, okay? But it also does not blow your mind initially. And I do wanna say this is probably initially gonna catch a decent amount of hate because of that, because people are going to go into this, as I did, expecting something just at the top of the designer game. And then when you don't get that right off the bat, you're gonna be like, this can't compare, this sucks compared to those. Like if you put this up against Le Male Elixir, it's not close. Le Parfum, not close. The Le Beau fragrances, not close. And that's gonna be a sticking point for a lot of people. And then maybe the 5th time that I wore this fragrance, something clicked. And I was like, that's what it is. That's what's going on here. And at that point I went, maybe approaching it through that lens, I'm not quite as disappointed. Now, pulling this one out again, Eau Fraiche, this, as I harped on, doesn't smell like this if you wear them side by side. But the idea here with Le Male Lover is not really far removed from this in a way. So let me explain that. Le Male Lover has aspects of the Le Male Parfum DNA, mainly the vanilla. Actually, it's mainly the vanilla. But okay, Le Male Parfum. When that one came out, it was clearly a new direction for Le Male fragrances while still, you know, keeping some of that original DNA in there. And then Elixir is a tweaked iteration of Le Parfum. There are enough differences that it's not redundant to own both of them, but you can clearly draw a line between Elixir and Le Parfum and be like, yes, they're clearly related. This is with those, more so Le Male Le Parfum, that vanilla, like I said. It would basically be like if you took Le Male Le Parfum, you kept the vanilla largely the same, and you said, okay, let's freshen things up, give it a fresher opening, clean it up a little bit, strip away a lot of that warmth that's in there, that kind of spicy warmth, and the iris as well. Just take that and kind of kick that away. Instead, give it a little more fresh spiciness, make it, again, as I said, fresher, keep the vanilla largely intact, but when you remove a lot of those supporting notes, those warmer notes, those heavier notes, the vanilla on its own doesn't come across as heavy. It doesn't come across as much of a fall and wintertime scent. And then give it that ambroxany, modern woody kind of base for the vanilla to play off of. That's what you've got here. And when I came to that conclusion, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense now. Like I'm smelling the vanilla from Le Parfum with an ambroxany undertone, and then the opening has that freshness. You've got that pop of fresh spice and lighter accentuating notes as compared to what's in Le Parfum. None of that warmth, none of that sweetness, not in the same way anyway as that's in Le Parfum. All the sweetness here coming from that vanilla basically solely. That's this. Now, again, am I going to hold this up and say it's as good as Le Parfum? To me, it's not. Am I gonna hold it up to Elixir? Obviously not. But this is essentially a fresher take on parts of the Le Male Le Parfum DNA. And so in a weird kind of way, you could call this like Le Male Le Parfum Eau Fraiche. And that's sort of what it is, which again ties it back to this Eau Fraiche. It doesn't smell like this Eau Fraiche, but it's like a new form of Eau Fraiche in a way. Do I think this is gonna be welcome with open arms when more people can finally get their nose on it? Initially, probably not. As I said, the first reaction, my snap reaction, disappointment. So if I had smelled this in a first impression video where I was unboxing it and smelling it for the very first time without giving it some proper wears, before I did the first impression, it would be me telling you, this sucks, this is awful. This is so much worse than all the fragrances they've done here lately that it's just, that would be what you would have gotten. And again, truly 3-4 times in, I was still like, mediocre at best. It's just not that impressive. And then when it kind of clicked for me, I went, oh, I know that smell. Just different, but I know it. And then it kind of changed something in my mind to where I went, well, I don't hate it as much now. Still not like madly in love with this thing or anything like that, but yeah. If you want a fresher Le Male Le Parfum, I mean, this is a decent take on that. It's a decent take, yeah. It is pretty simple. It definitely comes across more simple than the fragrances that I've mentioned in this line that have come out here over the past number of years, but it is not as bad as I thought when I first sprayed it. So I would tell you with this one, go into it with tempered expectations. Don't go into this thinking it's gonna be the next Elixir, Le Male Elixir, the next, Jean-Paul Gaultier that you spray on and just within 5 seconds you go, I love it, it's amazing, I love it. Wrap up fragrance of the year, boys, it's already done. That's not gonna happen, at least not to the overwhelming majority of you. And you understand that what they're doing here is essentially making more of like a spring, fall, potentially summertime version of Le Male Le Parfum, at least again, kind of the vanilla that's in there, and keeping bits of that Le Male DNA close enough that you can clearly tie this in with those. As long as you do that, then you'll probably come out of it in a lot better mood than if you do it the other way. So there we go, Le Male Lover, kind of interesting in a way. I much prefer Paradise Garden, Le Beau Paradise Garden, I gotta be honest, like that, to me, if you hold those up side by side, they're both on the fresher side, but they do things very differently, and you say, look, which one is better? I'm not even gonna have to think about it. I'm just gonna be like, Paradise Garden, give it to me. Get away from me, give me my bottle back. But this one, it's a little bit of a surprise. It's like, I started off pretty much completely disliking it, and then went, it's kind of mediocre, and then I went, it's not too bad actually. So I know that's not like a really rip-roaring way to say, it's, this is what you gotta get, this is not too bad, but definitely I'm in a way different spot today than I was a few days ago when this first came out. Again, I would fully prepare to see just a lot of initial reactions on this one being probably not that great, because that's what mine was. And I think as time goes, people will come around to it a little bit. That'd be my guess. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video.